You don't need to be a genius to invest. You don't need a degree in economics. You don't even need to know calculus. What you really need is the ability to keep emotions in check and follow a few simple rules. And if you can do that, you'll do just fine. Today, let me share with you 3 rules that, if you follow them, can change the entire way you think about money and investing. You don't have to be a genius to invest. In fact, many geniuses aren't very good at it. What you really need is the ability to keep things simple. People have a tendency to make investing harder than it has to be. They'll use big words, fancy charts, computer models, and complicated strategies to make themselves look smart. But the truth is, successful investing doesn't require brilliance. It requires discipline, patience, and the ability to understand a few basic ideas and actually follow them. When I started out, I didn't try to become an expert on everything. I stayed within my circle of competence. That's just a fancy way of saying invest in what you understand. If someone explains a business to you and you're still scratching your head, that's not the business you want to own. You want to own businesses that make sense, that you can explain to a 10-year-old. If you can't, you're better off passing. There are thousands of companies out there. You don't need to own them all. You just need to find a few that you really understand and that are run by people you trust. Now, investing is simple, but it's not easy. That's because human beings are emotional creatures. When markets go up, we feel like geniuses. When markets go down, we feel like fools. Emotions drive most people to do the wrong thing at the wrong time. They chase what's hot, and they panic when things cool off. The market is there to serve you, not to instruct you. You don't have to react to every price movement. In fact, you're better off ignoring most of it. Think of the stock market as a moody partner. Some days he'll offer you a great deal. Other days he'll act irrational. Your job is simply to take advantage of the times when the price makes sense and ignore him the rest of the time. Patience is the single most underrated skill in investing. Compounding is like planting a tree. At first it seems like nothing's happening. You water it, you care for it, and it grows just a little bit each year. But after a decade or two, you've got shade, fruit, and something of real value. That's how investing works. People underestimate how powerful time can be when it comes to compounding. You don't have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You just need to stick with it and let time do its work. One of the most important things to remember is to avoid big mistakes. You don't need to win every time. You just need to stay in the game. Never risk what you need for what you don't need. That's how people get into trouble. They see a shortcut or a promise of quick money and they can't resist. But shortcuts often lead to dead ends. Be careful with leverage, be careful with speculation, and be careful with anything that sounds too good to be true. It usually is. The best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Improving your own knowledge and skills will pay off more than any stock or bond you'll ever buy, read, learn, be curious. The more you know, the better decisions you'll make. And those decisions compound just like money does. Now, people often ask me what the secret to investing is. The truth is, there's no secret. It's about staying rational when others are emotional. It's about ignoring the noise and focusing on the fundamentals. It's about understanding that you are not buying a stock. You are buying a piece of a business. And if you wouldn't be happy owning that business for 10 years, you shouldn't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Remember, you don't need to swing at every pitch. The market will throw opportunities at you all the time. You can wait for the one that's right in your sweet spot. There's no penalty for standing there with the bat on your shoulder. In fact, the discipline to wait is one of the greatest advantages you can have. So, keep it simple. Stay within your circle of competence. Be patient. Avoid big mistakes. Invest in yourself. If you can do those things consistently, you'll do better than most. Investing doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the most disciplined. And if you follow those simple principles, you won't just become a better investor, you'll become a better decision maker in life. Because in the end, investing isn't really about money, it's about using money to build the kind of future you want. And that future is built one smart, simple decision at a time. When it comes to investing, people are always looking for the next big thing. They want the stock that's going to double in a week, the company that's going to change the world tomorrow, or the shortcut that makes them rich overnight. The problem is that's not how real wealth is built. The real money in investing isn't made by jumping in and out. It's made by sitting still. The secret isn't timing the market. It's time in the market. The stock market is designed to test your patience. Prices move up and down every single day, sometimes for no reason at all. If you let those little movements dictate your decisions, you'll end up tired, frustrated, and poorer than you started. Think about it. Would you sell your house because someone walked by and shouted out a random price that was lower than you thought it was worth? Of course not. But people do exactly that with stocks all the time. They forget they own a piece of a business and start treating it like a lottery ticket. Businesses don't change overnight. A great company won't suddenly lose all its value because the stock price fell 5% this morning. Likewise, a poor company doesn't become wonderful just because the stock went up 5% today. What really matters is what that business will be worth 5, 10, or 20 years from now. If you keep that perspective, the daily noise of the market won't bother you nearly as much. The trouble is, most people don't like waiting. We live in a world of instant gratification. You push a button and food shows up at your door. You tap your phone and a car arrives to pick you up. Everything is designed to be fast, but investing doesn't work that way. Investing is slow, and it should be, because wealth builds like a snowball. You start at the top of the hill with a small snowball, and as it rolls, it picks up more snow, gets bigger, and starts rolling faster. That's compounding. It doesn't look exciting at first, but give it time and it becomes unstoppable. If you want an example, think of a tree. You don't plant a seed and expect shade the next morning. You water it, protect it, and give it years to grow. The payoff comes later, and when it does, it's worth every bit of patience. Investing works the same way. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. That's why time, not timing, is your best friend in investing. Now, here's something people often misunderstand. You don't have to swing at every opportunity. The market is like a pitcher throwing you thousands of pitches every day. You don't get called out if you don't swing. You can stand there all day long waiting for the pitch that's right in your sweet spot. And when it comes, that's when you act, thinking long. Term means being selective and disciplined. You don't need dozens of great ideas every year. A few in your lifetime can be enough. Of course, there will be times when the market looks scary. Prices will fall, headlines will scream, and people will panic. That's when thinking long-term matters most. If you've done your homework, if you own businesses you truly believe in, those periods aren't a reason to sell. They're a reason to hold and sometimes even buy more. Fear is the enemy of long-term thinking. Patience is the antidote. People often ask how to get rich quick. My answer is always the same: don't. The faster you try to get rich, the greater your chances of losing everything. Wealth that comes quickly tends to leave just as quickly, but wealth built slowly over time through discipline and patience, that's the kind of wealth that lasts. Remember, the market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. If you can train yourself to think years ahead instead of days, you'll already be ahead of most investors. Ignore the noise, focus on the fundamentals, and give time the chance to work its magic. At the end of the day, thinking long-term isn't just about investing. It's a way of approaching life. You don't have to rush every decision. You don't have to chase every trend. You build a strong foundation, you make smart choices, and you let time reward you. That's how you create something lasting, whether it's a portfolio, a business, or a life worth living. So don't get distracted by the little bumps on the road. Keep your eyes on where you want to go. The journey may take longer than you expect, but the view at the end is worth it. The first rule in investing is simple: don't lose money. And the second rule is just as important: never forget the first one.